You feel your wife is angry all the time, and that is bad for the relationship. And I know that this is a mindset that many men adopt, especially the delusional in the red-pilled community, because they have no fucking understanding of what the feminine truly is. Everything in this world is on a spectrum. It's duality and it's polarity. We do not understand what light is without darkness. We don't understand what cold is without heat. We do not understand happiness without sadness. We have to have duality in everything that we experience. Right now, in this single moment, somebody loves you and somebody hates you. And so seeing your wife's anger as bad for the relationship is fucking delusional. Because if that anger did not exist, then you would not be able to experience the deep, loving, happy, connected, passionate intimacy. One cannot exist without the other. Expecting your wife to always be happy, to always be peaceful, to always be calm is like asking her to be a fucking robot. It's asking her to have no expression of emotion. It's asking her to be the most plain, simple, and boring version of herself. Because in that same regard, if she's always positive, always calm, always very still and silent, you're not going to have any passion. There's going to be no fiery attraction. There's going to be no deep, intimate loving. So you'll complain in the same regard. When a woman is angry, we have to understand that anger is just how the emotion is being expressed. And what I never understood was that anger is actually just the surface level. Because when you learn how to hold space for a woman and hear her out in what she is feeling, you'll find that the anger is just a cover-up. It's a cover-up for the hurt. It's a cover-up for the pain. It's a cover-up for all the sadness that she's bottling up inside and doesn't know what the fuck to do with. That's why the anger exists. And if we go a layer deeper on that, what you start to realize is the only reason those layers of sediment in anger, sadness, hurt, pain, and all of these other really intense and strong emotions are building up is because you don't hear them. You don't want to experience them. You don't want to pay attention when they arise. You just want your wife to calm down and stop being overly sensitive. Your wife's anger is a reflection of your inability to be emotionally safe for her. That's why it exists. And yes, your wife has her own emotional work to do. And yes, she has her own spiritual and personal development journey to go on. And that's largely none of your business in what it looks like. But right now, the frustrations and the concerns that you hear about every single day are the direct result of your inability to hold space and hear her out. Most men need to give their opinion on what their wife says. They latch on to the literal words that she's using. And so then they get stuck with this story running round in their head as to why she said it. She shouldn't talk to me that way. She needs to change her tonality. Stop calling me those names. You need to stop shouting. You need to be more respectful. And they've missed the fucking point. They've got this narrative on repeat as to why she needs to change how she's conveying the message. When in actual fact, if they just stopped for a moment and they just held the space so that she could get all of this pent-up emotion out, they would start to see a very different side to her. You'd start to see a very different dynamic in the relationship. The sheer result of the not holding space, the not letting her speak, the not letting her find her own conclusion is the build-up of anger. It is the resentment. And again, yes, your wife can do lots of things to move this on and get it out of her body. But not if every day you repeatedly add another layer of sediment. Not if every day you add to the pile of unresolved issues. No matter how fucking hard she tries to move all of this on, you keep adding to it. So what the fuck is she supposed to do? Nobody feels comfortable dealing with heightened states of emotion in the first instances. As children, we weren't allowed to have big emotions. No, in my generation anyway. We weren't allowed to push back and be resistive towards our parents. We weren't allowed to set our own boundaries. We weren't allowed to do all of these things. And so what does that mean? That we had to just get on and shut up. And so it's no coincidence that as men we expect that of our wives. That she should not be so angry all the time. That she should control herself. That she should be okay with dealing with her emotions on her own, and she shouldn't be making them my problem. But then what does that say about you? Because if you want your wife to be a true expression of herself, you want her to be herself, you want her to give you the warmth, the radiance, the love, the connection, the sex, all of this stuff, but you don't want certain aspects of her to be present as well, you're creating a conditional marriage. You're willing to love her on the condition that she meets your expectations of how she should be. And let's be fucking real. No man has ever lived a day in the life of a woman to the full experience in any capacity that she has. So how do you know what is right for your wife in the way that she shows up? How do you know, logically and emotionally, what's going to get the best out of her? Unless you have created an environment where she can show it. And even then, you can only comprehend a very small fraction of what it is that she's going through and experiencing. The anger is just the surface level. And when you become more emotionally intelligent, when you become more emotionally secure and stable, when you can hold space for your wife to be able to talk through all of what she is experiencing, and you bring no criticism, no opinion, no judgment, you don't try to change her mind, you don't try to tell her to think something different, you can hold your tongue and be in that moment, then she will start to feel safe. Then she will start to feel as though you love her for who she is. She will start to feel as though you genuinely give a shit and care about her and her well-being, and not just your ego. All the while you continue to get caught up in this surface level and top layer element of she's just angry at me, she just shouts all the time, she's just always unhappy. You're going to cause more of it to occur and play out in your dynamic. You're going to cause it to become a repeating pattern and cycle, because the breaking of it comes from dealing with the cause. Dealing with the cause of the anger. Dealing with the cause of her frustrations. The only reason you complain about your wife's behavior is to protect your ego. Is to make you feel better, to inflate your superiority over her. Because if she is wrong, then you have to be right. And that mentality makes no woman feel safe. So again, why would she be anything other than angry? Why would she be anything other than sad and concerned that this is where the relationship has ended up? The best way to prevent your wife from continually and repeatedly being angry is to find out why it's there in the first place. What is causing her to feel this way? What is causing her to repeatedly express these emotions day in, day out? Like a bison through a snowstorm, you have to go through it head on, because you get out of the storm faster. Your wife finds her closure, her peace, and her sanity within herself when you hold the space for her to talk it all through. So what are you putting off? And what do you need to face head on in order for the anger to completely dissolve?